Hello, my crafty crafters. Welcome to the first episode of my hardcore series. Today we're going to be building a mob farm and setting up a few basic things you need in hardcore survival. So yeah, sit back, relax and enjoy, and I promise you it's going to be one hell of a ride because this was not fun for me, so I hope it's fun for you. Right then, getting right into it. I ran around, collected some of the saplings from the trees that I had already chopped down, and began massacring the trees that I had planted. I realised halfway to the tree though that I didn't have a way up to said tree, so I grabbed some cobblestone from the chest and made a tiny cute little staircase up to the tree. Every other tree has a staircase, but not this one. Don't know why it's just this one, just does. Anyways, let's go complete some deforestation of the trees that I planted myself. After completing the mass deforestation, I went and emptied my inventory into the chest. However, I realised that not everything was everywhere. I am known for creating chest monsters, so I am trying to avoid this in this world. However, I don't think that's going to work. I think I probably am going to create some serious chest monsters that are going to take days of organisation. How wonderful. I also grabbed some carpet and some cobblestone because I am now going to make a little place for the mushroom cows to live. I need to set up a animal farm of some sorts just for a food source. So I hopped down here and began building. First of all, I removed a bunch of mushrooms, which didn't really work because I couldn't get the right angle to hit all of them. But the mushrooms I removed was just not where I wanted the fence place. Pen. It was not where I wanted the pen, so I moved them anyways. Placed the carpet in the corner, realised I can't jump over a corner and moved it. Then I built a little staircase so the mushroom cows can get up into their forever home. Eternal doom. Whoopsies. I then munched on some bread and ran after this one mushroom cow. Now this is the only time I've never been able to find a mushroom cow after this one was put in the pen. Could not find another one for the life of me. I was like, where have you gone? What are you doing? Where are you all? Luckily, I found one within a second, but I usually always have one in my eyesight because they are literally the only mob that can spawn in the mushroom biome. So where are you? You're the only thing that can spawn here. You have to be here somewhere. I then breeded them together because after the tiny takeover update, I actually haven't seen what their babies look like. I haven't really seen what they look like before, to be fair. I've never really lived in a mushroom biome. But this is what they look like. I think they look a bit weird and they look a bit silly because they don't have mushrooms on them yet. But I guess that's like going through puberty, you get your mushrooms on your hair. I also destroyed the wheat and replanted it. This is the second time that I haven't got a second seed. That's a lot of seconds. And hopefully the second time that I've planted it, it does give me a second seed. Because if not, I will cry. See, there's a mushroom in the background. I then emptied my inventory and went to bed. In the morning, I decided to start work on the farm. Fun fact that you might not know, you can't till mycelium. I don't know why you can't till mycelium, you just can't. You're not allowed to plant things in this biome for some reason. So I've had to remove all of the dirt and then till it. I also am using a stone hoe because there is literally no difference from a diamond hoe to a stone hoe. It works the same. It has no different usage. Exactly the same. Like, what would be the point of making one? So yeah, anyways, enjoy some farming. Then, once I'd finished the farming, I ran over to the chest and emptied my inventory once again. I'm trying to keep this organised, so I will be running back to the chests quite a bit, just because I want to keep this organised and don't want it to be too chaotic. I then smelted some more charcoal, because that is literally my only source of coal at this point. I will say I did go and find coal, but obviously not enough to last me, especially with the amount of torches I need. I then headed down into my little mining hole and began mining for enough blocks to build the mob farm. Spoiler alert, I would not have enough. Once that was over and done with, I believed I had enough blocks. Spoiler alert, I didn't. I really didn't have enough blocks to make this. If you are making this, you're gonna need like at least 18 stacks of blocks is my rough guess. But I turned all of my spruce planks, well, all the spruce logs that I mined, into spruce trapdoors. I made 2 stacks, although you only really need about a stack and a half. But I decided to make 2 stacks just for safety. Didn't want to have not enough and then have to come back and mine more wood. How hypocritical of me saying this and how I would have to come back. I then checked the furnace, realised I had enough iron to make the hoppers. You only need 2 hoppers. No, you need 4 hoppers for this farm. Sorry, that's my fault. You only need 4 hoppers for this farm, so it's not too expensive in the long term, but when you are in the very early days of the game, it can be very expensive. I grabbed my water and realised I'm probably going to need a few more buckets. So I grabbed the buckets and then popped the iron back in the chest, sorted out my inventory just a little bit, and got to work on filling the buckets up with some water. I accidentally took the source block though, didn't mean to do that. Then from there I ran around, picked up a few more saplings, popped those in the chest, spun around one last time, double checked the chests for anything, grabbed some torches because I realised I need those, even though I had some in my inventory, as you could see. I didn't realise I had those in my inventory though, so I ran back afterwards to get the torches, even though I didn't need them. I then ran back down and began mining more cobblestone. I also found some coal, which I was very lucky to find because obviously living in a mushroom island, coal is not the easiest thing to come across, and wood is not either to turn it into charcoal, so it wasn't the easiest thing to come across. Once I'd done all that and gathered enough blocks, I put the coal back in and made my way to the farm, or where I was going to build it. I also didn't know that sugarcane or firefly bushes could spawn on mycelium. Who knew? Not me. But they can. I was quite shocked by this, but if I ever make a sugarcane farm, at least I know I can use the mycelium. You can't use mycelium for a lot of things, but you can use it for sugarcane. I ended up finding a spot like 50 blocks away from the island, roughly. I haven't actually counted it, so I wouldn't know. You can still see the island very clearly, but I was definitely far away enough. I then towered up about 100 blocks. I just got to 150, looked around and realised I was just surrounded by vast, endless amounts of ocean. Very scary. Just me, my icebergs, and the ocean. And then I began building the farm. This part was the worst because I hate it when you don't have a set platform to stand on. You have to actually build it first. Once the platform's done, I'm quite alright with it because I have somewhere I can go and stand. But as we will realise later, I never placed the water down to climb down. But I placed the hoppers down, sorted out the slabbing. I then towered up the 23 blocks I did. I think I did 22 to be fair. It's quite lucky I did 22 and you'll figure that out in a little bit longer. Anyways, let's get to building this farm. I am quite excited to build this. One thing I did before starting to build the farm though was count out 4 layers of 7 blocks of deep slate because you have to go out by 8, including the one that you've towered up on. And I can't count for the life of me, so it just made more sense to split them all up. Now let's get into it. I didn't get very far with building the farm before I had to go back and get some more blocks. I launched myself off of the farm and almost hit the gravel as I ended up in the ocean. I'm surprised I didn't with how fast I was falling, but I then swam around the ocean and picked up every single last block of deep slate I had dropped because every block was so precious at this point of building it. I'm in the very early stages of this game, so I have no spare blocks. I have to keep running back and gathering them and running back and then backwards and forwards. It's very boring. Went to sleep for the night though. Not sure why I did that. I think it was probably because I realised I was working outside of the Mushroom Island, so mobs would spawn on me and I could potentially be knocked off and then I'd be injured. back to mining, more stone. It never ends. As I was running back to the farm, I could sort of see it in the distance. And I love looking out at these farms because it's like a little marker to say, hey, this is home. So that was quite nice. I then towered up all the way up again because I forgot to place the water. I then placed the water and broke it all back down again. And then I had to do the same with getting up to the top bit of the farm, because if not, I wouldn't have been able to get all the way up to the top. So I then had to tower all the way up to the top, place the water, destroy all the cobblestone because once again we need all the blocks we can get, and then I could finally start working on it. I first made an infinite water source though, as you need water for the mobs to sort of glide down into the death chamber, as I'm calling it. I did struggle with building this for some reason, I'm not sure why. I think my controller was just sort of having a bit of a moment, to be fair. But you know what, we all have those days, so I'm not too fussed. I got it in the end. I also feel like I build my infinite water sources differently to everyone else. I build them by 3 because it's just more efficient. You don't need 4 blocks, you just need 3. I personally find that this is more efficient, but hey ho. I then hopped back down and placed the water so I could get back down and began destroying the tower. How fun and exciting. However, on my way back up, I accidentally jumped down the tower, and this is where I thought it was all going to end. I was left on half a heart. If I had one less piece of armour on, or I had jumped any higher, I would have been dead. Absolutely dead. And that was scary. So I made my way out of the death chamber, built it all back up again, and I just sat and watched the sunset as I ate some bread to heal my health. It was quite a nice little thing to do, to just sit and sort of watch the sunset over my island. Quite a nice little thing. I love watching the sunset, and it's so pretty. It's just a wonderful sunset. I love sunsets in real life, and Minecraft sunsets just absolutely are amazing. They go a great representation of sunsets, and I think they're fabulous. That's enough on sunsets. When I got back up, I did cover up the hole with trapdoors. I will get rid of those later, but I'm so glad I placed them down because I was so scared of falling again and not having a heart of damage, and that would have killed me instantly. Anyways, back to more building of this bloody farm. As you can see, once I'd had all the trapdoors placed down, I still had quite a few left. I'm still not sure what I'm going to use them for, but I'm sure they'll come in handy at some point. Then I started working on the walls of the farm. It was at this point that I realised I would probably need to go back and get yet more blocks. It was driving me mad. I also just didn't want the corners because I didn't want to have those random blocks where mobs could potentially spawn. And then they'd just sort of come and jump down and attack me maybe? I don't know. It would also affect the rates, and I wouldn't want my rates being affected, especially whilst trying to build a mob farm so I can get mob drops. Like, I want the drops from the mobs, so I don't want my rates affected. Once again, my controller decided to play up again. I don't know why I did that there. Couldn't tell you. Didn't write down why I did it. I just felt like it, I suppose. I then ran back over to where I was for some reason. Debated going back down for more blocks. Thought, you know what, I'll carry on until I have enough blocks left. Spoiler alert, I ran out very fast. Once again, getting rid of that corner. You've got to be careful of where mobs are spawning on this farm. Otherwise, you're not going to have good mob rates, and then that defeats the purpose of building a farm. I felt quite fast building this, and then the controller played up once again. I was getting very annoyed at this point because I'd been working on this for about an hour now of just trying to build this farm but having to run back, grab materials, and then run back and grab materials. It felt never ending because I was just constantly in a cycle. And see, this is where the trapdoors come in perfect hand to use, because I could just stand here and I could just get rid of the blocks that were in my way to get back up without having to worry about falling to my death. It was fantastic. I did replace the cobblestone, but I did have some issues with this trapdoor for some reason. It just didn't like me. I then had an issue with the whole system because I wanted to make sure I collected the trapdoor because I didn't want an uneven amount in my storage system. Me thinking it would fall down, it didn't fall down, so I destroyed another trapdoor, and then I tried to place it back, and I accidentally placed two. So then I got rid of that one, but I didn't want to lose that one, so I got rid of both of them. And then I thought the other one wasn't going to go, so I destroyed both of them. I then ended up placing two there, but I thought, you know what, that's going to catch me if I fall, and I don't care, so it's staying. I ended up actually placing the trapdoor back properly this time, thank God for that one. I then ran around in a circle again. I don't know why I keep doing that for, and I never know why. I then finished up using the last of my cobblestone for the wall, finished the wall up, and I felt quite happy about that one, and started work on the roof. I was not excited to start work on the roof as I knew full well I didn't have enough blocks. As you can see very quickly, I ran out of blocks. Then I decided to jump off of this. Every time I watch this, it makes me feel sick because of just how fast and how easily I just fell straight down. But back to the base to mine more blocks. At this point, I felt safe enough to get rid of the trapdoors that prevented me from falling to my death. This was a stupid idea as I did fall in the water one more time before finishing this build. Luckily, I managed to save myself and didn't actually yeet myself over the edge again. But anyways, back to building the roof of this farm. Or the wall. For some reason the wall's not fully finished. That's a bit stupid. Oh well, back to building the roof of this farm. I didn't enjoy it. As you can see here, I had just really bad issues with angling myself. So I decided to go in the bottom and build the roof looking up. But I fell in the water again. I then ran back to base, grabbed some torches, finished the roof off, and just spammed torches everywhere because I can. And I wanted to. I think I lost a bit of footage here somehow. I'm not sure where it's gone or even if it was ever recorded, but I know I finished the roof. And that was finally the mob farm complete. I just placed the last few blocks of the wall in, dove down into my little water source, placed the last few and got rid of my water source. And there you have it. My mob farm is officially complete. And I was absolutely terrified that this wouldn't work. I fully believed it didn't work. I once again launched myself into more water. I could have very easily landed on the cobblestone and went complete splat. And it was already working by the time I'd gotten down there. And that was very fast. I first lit up the platform though, because I really don't want any mobs spawning. They're very scary. After about 4 or 5 minutes of standing here, that was the loot I managed to collect. I am lazy and I don't like it. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. This is the very first video I've ever made, so do not judge the quality. Anyways, thank you for watching me build a mob farm. I know that was torturous to watch because it was torturous for me to build. Thank you for watching. I shall see you little crafters in the next one. Have a good day, have a good night, whatever time it is. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, or the night, whatever it is once again.